Hey, welcome to episode 12 of Fabric of Culture Podcast. It's a podcast where I interview different creatives, get an insight on how they got started, and see how you can fit that into your life. All right, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chanoah. I am an artist from Memphis. I would consider my
And
what?
bring it
Oh my god, I
in.
did it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm an artist from Memphis. I moved here around 7 years ago to Dallas. I'm a full-time painter, and I do part-time fashion wholesale. I don't know if I ever told you that, but yeah,
Oh, yeah, nice. I didn't know that.
yeah. Fun fact.
So, what was I guess we'll start with how was the journey to becoming like a full time painter, the transition?
Honestly, like it's not something like I grew up being like I'm gonna be a painter. Like I'm gonna be a professional painter when I grew up. I just knew I
Hmm.
liked to make pretty things,
Yeah.
and I like clothes and I like the art and I liked music. So I just kind of followed wherever that led. And I was at the radio station in Memphis, and somebody came in to do like an interview, and he did part time radio. And I was like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I sell paintings in my front yard. And I was like, huh? Oh, that's the thing. You can
Oh.
sell art. I'd never seen anybody selling art.
Yeah.
And at the time, Instagram wasn't quite what it is now, where you're getting suggested so much. So I didn't
Hmm.
even see artists online doing that. Like I just was
Yeah.
really just seeing my friends and stuff. So it just never occurred to me that it was possible. And so as soon as I saw it, then I started to pursue it. And I was like, well, let me just start painting and let me sell because I've always liked drawing.
Yeah, I think the love spread more around recently. I
Hmm.
think like I can think of a few artists who are like big, but other than that, everyone else was like, "What the fuck do I do? Like, I'm enjoying my art, but how do I market myself?"
100%. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even in my realm of reality that you could just be like an everyday artist, like selling and paying
Mhm.
your bills off of it. It was
Yeah.
either like, in my head, it was like either you're Picasso or you're nothing,
Mhm.
like that's
Yeah.
just, I think that's how we all kind of consider it. But like, that's not the definition of a success as an artist. It's being able to do what you love and pay your way through it, off the art.
Yeah, that's probably 'cause I actually used to do art. That's like my
Hmm.
biggest regret is I was like, oh, like I saw like the canyon of how there's like these greats, and then everyone else is just kind of like figuring it out. I was like, let me dip out now because
Yeah, and that's happened to a lot of people. Happens to me all the time. Like if
mhm.
I'm on Instagram too much looking at other people's art, I will get discouraged rather than inspired. It just depends on what mindset I'm in. Like, why
Yeah.
am I looking at their stuff because I'm like avoiding doing the work I need to do? Or am I actually looking for, how are they selling their art type things? Like,
Mhm.
I don't really think that studying other people's styles is always the best route,
Yeah.
because I think it should come from you, and that confidence of knowing it came from you feels different than trying to emulate something you're seeing too, which,
Do you think there's like a point where, say, you're starting out where you can like take from others, like see like what you like about their art, and then kind of basically throw it in a blender. You're basically like saying like
yeah.
this is something I love. Let me add this to my art.
100%. I think that's the art styles that you really appreciate. That's a little different to me. I feel like,
Hmm.
it's like you're looking at maybe a technique they're using, or even like you love how they use colors and you want to try to figure out how to emulate that same use of color in your work. I just don't like to compare
It's
myself
like
too much because I start losing my mind.
it's copying or comparing versus learning.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, it's my thing is every time I see an artist style that I'm like, oh, I love this. A part of me is like, no, don't look at it, because I don't want my stuff to then curve that way,
Yeah.
because whatever you're looking at will curve, and whatever you're around is going to curve your art. So you have to, appreciate it. But I don't know. For me, I'm a sponge, so I don't like to get too wrapped up. Like my only artist I ever like really just looked at and like studied would be like visionary artists like
Hmm.
Alex Gray and
Okay.
stuff. Because for one, I don't want to paint exactly like him, but I love the way that he fluidly creates these designs, and it's all flowing
I
together
actually
in the
haven't seen his
color.
art. How would you describe it or what?
It's very intricate,
Hmm.
very spiritual, all about patterns. Like he's using a lot of ancient geometry to create the line work he's doing. It's not
Ooh.
just
Okay.
pretty line work. It's like it's literally flowing in a certain way that's very hypnotic to our nature as humans and the way we see things. So, and he's using, I'm assuming, psychedelics a lot
Yeah.
as well. So it's very trippy, and it's very immersive.
Okay.
Um, Lots of eyeballs,
Ooh, I love it.
and yeah.
I've seen someone like that recently. I can't remember his name, but he's like he's very inspired by like Leonardo da Vinci stuff like
Hmm.
that, where you'll see him make like very like futuristic or sci-fi paintings, and then he'll have like diagrams of like he did one where he got like a basically like a horse painting, and then he like painted over it, like add like skeletons and like robot like arms and stuff, and then he had like diagrams for like this is the shoulder point, this is this, and so you see lines of like the mathematical
Oh, that's
equations.
cool.
I was like, whoa,
And see,
that's
that's
it.
a way to take something that you appreciate and twist it
Yeah,
with
so it's
your
like an
own
interesting combination
style.
of that.
100%.
So who inspires you to where you've gotten now?
I would definitely say, as far as artists, Alex Gray
Hmm.
is a big one because I just like the way that he uses his colors. And then two, I've met people who studied under people who studied under him. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like
Yeah.
that's kind of how it works. Like you'll meet someone's mentor, mentee. And I met somebody when I was first getting outside and painting and selling art. And he reminded me of like a wizard. Like that's what I tell him. It's like you're like a
Oh.
wizard, dude. Like the way that he would meditate and then get into it, and the way that he was using the acrylics
Hmm.
and the lights. I definitely got inspired by that. And I
Yeah.
asked him, like how did you? And he's like, oh, I studied under this woman Amanda, and like I knew who he was talking about because she studied under Alex.
Mm.
Like this is an actual artist that I pay attention to. So when he said that, I was like, this makes sense why I like it, because they're using techniques you've learned from them, but they're big about teaching people to follow their own vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned from him a little bit too, just sitting there watching and talking, and he was open to share.
So it's like they all grew from him, but they're all unique in their own way.
Exactly. Like
That's
every
cool.
image, because he really, from what I can tell, it's really big about working with your own spirit and your own subconscious.
Hmm.
And so that's going to imprint on you. So he's big on like self portraits and things like that. So that it really emanates from how you see yourself in the world.
Okay. What was your biggest takeaway, or the thing that like you've held dearest in your art from him?
Probably the watering down of my acrylics. So I could do really thin layers of
Hmm.
color to get it to be kind of translucent.
Oh, okay.
And that way too, it's not so much blending, because if you work with acrylics, they dry really fast. So adding water is my best friend. Like you can blend it a little bit easier, and then you can always go over it. Like I like that technique that he used, and then playing with the lights, just learning how light works and reflects with different colors.
How do you play with light?
So for one, color theory helps, but also understanding that when the light hits anything, it pulls the color out. So you're getting different colors of light onto the paint. So it's
Hmm.
pulling out those different colors differently. So
Okay.
like the red's not going to look as red in the green, or like in the green light, or like in the red light, the green looks brown almost. So when you're changing the color, the painting different areas will start popping out. And then
Mm.
using the thin layers of paint causes the layers underneath to kind of pull through a little bit as well.
Okay.
So that, and then the black light, that's always fun when you turn on a blue light and all of a sudden like the eyeballs start glowing. You're like,
Ooh, how do
yeah.
you, with the black light, how do you make it pop like that? What do you keep in mind? Basically, do you paint that in black light, or are you painting it with no black light and then understanding how it'll look later?
Sometimes a little bit of both.
Okay.
When I first started using the lights like this, it was kind of an accident because
Hmm.
I wanted to learn color theory and I liked this watered down style. So I was just learning to paint with no black or white paint. So doing that did something really weird under the colored lights, because now you don't have any standard black or white. You just have color. So
Yeah.
it's every light color changes. And so I've always liked pretty colored lights. So my apartment's always had them. So I remember having my lights off one time, and then I had the LEDs on, and I'm looking at the painting and I'm like, is that thing moving? Like it's doing something weird. And then I started to realize what was happening.
Mm.
So sometimes, yeah, when I have a certain idea of what colors I want to pop, I'll turn the light on periodically, or even like other colors to see what it's doing, because I want to see if it's gonna look cool.
Okay.
Me
So would you say it
too.
was like a happy little accident that you turned to like a creative process, or?
100%.
Hmm.
Even just the eyes and stuff, and the way that I totally dove into a different technique
Yeah.
was kind of a happy accident. I was so frustrated because I saw art like theirs, and I was like,
Hmm.
I want mine to have that same like feeling, that floaty, just like unique like flow in the designs, and I just didn't feel like I had that. I was so frustrated.
Mm.
So I was just doing dog portraits all the time,
Yeah.
commissions, commissions, commissions. So I got really just frustrated, got a giant bottle of wine, turned on some my little sad girl playlist, as I called it,
Yeah.
and then I just painted. I just started just I'm crying. I'm like, whatever, and then I ended up creating this image. I was like, whoa, hold on.
I love this.
Right. And then I busted out like the first 5 pieces of my first series after that. Like it
Hmm.
was just like that. And then it just started rolling, because I was like, okay, I'm finding the technique, because that's
Hmm.
part of what makes your art valuable, is
Yeah.
that unique technique and design and meaning.
Okay.
and one other things, but those are the most important to me.
For you, what is your painting process from like when you're getting started? Like playlists, what are you thinking of? What's the first step to the final step for you?
So first step's always like, for the most part, drawing out or sketching out a
Hmm.
design, even if it's super loose and sketchy, like literally just doesn't really look like anything to other people, or it's fully drawing it out. So I'll come up with that idea and then I just start trying to see if I like the way it forms on the paper.
So it can go anywhere from like a general detail to like a full outline.
Right. And then
Okay.
there's been times where I've just said, "Ooh, I like this image. Let me just hit the canvas straight off the top, like
Hmm.
free-handed it." There was like a snake, which if people follow me, they will see the snake. They know what
Hmm.
snake I'm talking about because it glows. It's cool. And I
Yeah.
did it out live painting just on like freehand because I was like, let me just test myself a little bit,
Okay. Yeah.
instead of planning it. But some of the other images I planned out. Like this one, I drew it out. The sketch looks different than the actual painting does. Oh, yeah,
I'll
I lift
pull
it
it
up. Oh,
up.
yeah. I keep forgetting that there's a camera there.
Oh
What's up,
yeah.
guys? Yeah, so this one I drew. I was actually tripping.
Hmm.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I saw this, because I use that for inspiration, plant medicines or whatnot. And so I drew it out and then I took it and I put it on the canvas. And what I
Hmm.
do sometimes, this one, I don't think I did it with this one, but sometimes the more intricate designs, when I
Yeah.
draw them out, I'll take a picture of my drawing and then I put it up to, or I project it onto a canvas. And then
Okay.
so I can line it up exactly where it needs to be. But I think this one just went from paper, free-handed it on here because it doesn't look like the sketch. The sketch had different types of more intricate designs, but this one just looks better on canvas. The other one looks like a tattoo.
Okay. So when you're starting out with like a painting like this, what what is the inspiration? Is it like, oh, like I want this like this feeling, or is it emotion, or is it a like a style?
So this, I was contemplating a lot of like a lot of inner work that I was going through of
Hmm.
learning the different sides of myself and trying to speak to those deeper parts that don't feel accepted. How I've just, the ego isn't something to be feared or hated. It's something to actually learn to work with. And so I was going through all of that and I wanted to have art that kind of represented some of the things I was experiencing spiritually
Okay.
and my evolution. And that's where that one came from. It's called synchronicity. It's about working when those different parts of yourself are starting to melt together and work. And you got the third eye up there and all that
What
good
is
stuff.
synchronicity?
Synchronicity, it is when it's like well, for me, it's in life when things just line up all of a sudden perfectly. You're like, it's like coincidences,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's basically the same thing as like a coincidence, but
Mhm.
for me, it's more of a sign, or
Mm.
it's like instinct, being in sync, synchronicity, the synchronicity of things, how in sync things are. So that's it. That's the definition, I guess, textbook wise. But
Okay.
spiritually, it's like those are synchronicities, like that happened because that's the sign I was looking for. That's what God. That's a synchronicity God sent me. Like
Okay.
things just went too easily.
So do
That was
those
probably not the best.
coincidences, is it lining up by like actions you've taken, or is it like a combination of that and things around you, or like a warning, or like okay, this is an action I should take?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I guess synchronicities could be both negative and positive,
Mhm.
but they're definitely, to me, it's a sign of the actions you're taking to be who you want to be, and that is lining up with your highest self and who you can be and should be. And
Okay.
so that's what I take that as, because I'm looking and I'm asking for, is this the right direction? Am I making the right choices? Like, show me what that, like, why or why not I did that. Just give
Mm.
me give me a sign. That's why, like, people look at like the numbers, like you
Yeah.
keep seeing 222 and it's like, and it happens after you've just made this decision. You're like, okay, I think that's a good decision. And you kind of, that's intuition too, going off,
Mhm. Yeah.
and making you look at that thing. So it's like, why did I even just pay attention to that?
What? Hmm.
Or like if you meet somebody and then like you all of a sudden, like, you feel really familiar with them,
Yeah.
and then they have so much stuff that's like similar and in sync with what you've experienced. That's a
Yeah.
synchronicity that says
Mm.
maybe this is somebody I'm supposed to have a connection with,
Yeah.
whether it's like for whatever reason, I don't know yet, but we're obviously aligned. So I feel good about that. Let me
Yeah.
just let
Yeah.
me, it's like a comfort thing, like a sign, like of
Mm.
it's okay here. I don't
It's safe here.
I feel like there's gonna be somebody watching this being like, that is not what it means, but that's what it means to me.
For you, what originally interested you in like surrealist art?
So I got really sick of just doing things hyper realistic, which is how
Mhm.
I started. I did sketches and charcoal,
Yeah.
which is just photocopies of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's fun. And there's no shame to anybody who does that.
Yeah, I
But
love charcoal.
yeah, no, not the charcoal, but the realistic
Oh,
stuff.
okay, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, charcoal, mad respect. That
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
takes forever. Like a different type of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if I could go back. um, Dang, I lost where I was going with that.
It was how you got into surrealist art.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to be able to put my own spin on things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to really start to grow my imagination and my creativity. Because it's a little bit harder to do that when you're just copying another image or, still life. I feel like now if you're taking still life art and changing it around, but for me, I just felt like I wasn't evolving
Mm-hmm.
by just doing images, like realistic images, whether that's just landscapes and trying to make things hyper realistic.
Yeah.
So I got really sick of doing dog portraits for a while, but I'll still take them.
Is it was it that because I've seen a lot of people evolve from that. So is it more just like you're interested in lie there, so you didn't, or
Maybe
just so you
that's kind
got
of
you
what
got
it
sick
is.
of it, so you're like, yeah, like I
Yeah.
can't see myself evolving from this because I don't have the interest in it.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like to me in my brain, I was like, the only place I can go with this is just get more realistic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to get weird.
Yeah.
I want to make something that's like, I know what that is, but that why does it look like that right now? Like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, just kind of verge on like the strange, and so I don't really go around like I'm a surrealist artist, but I know that that's where my art falls.
Because I've seen some people where they keep on like they dive deeper and deeper into realism, and
Hmm.
it's like it gets more intricate and more detailed. And there's some people where they do that and they add like their weird spin to it. And it's like, where'd that come from? Like, where in your brain did that come from? But I love it.
Right.
But that is a challenge because you're no matter what like style of art, you're adding your own spin to it or what
Hmm.
you vision. So how do you keep basically your vision steady, like what you have in mind when you're working on art? It's all good.
You know what? Honestly, that's one of the hardest things for me to do is keep my vision in line because I'm all over the place
Hmm.
and I have so many different things I kind of want to explore and look at. So that's why I keep multiple series going on, collections, and then I also have multiple paintings I'm working on at all times. So that way
Okay.
I can kind of
Ooh, that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I'm surrounded by it. I can see kind of the directions I can go. So I don't get into one and then get bored and then start changing it into a weird direction. I just have the other direction already here. Like, oh, let me just hop lanes real quick into this. Like, so that helps. But I also just go off of my experiences and feelings and the things that come to me when I'm daydreaming, like when I'm just thinking or sitting there. I try to either write it down or do a real quick sketch so that I can come back to it later and then create it and then decide if it lines up with anything that I'm already working on, it fits into a collection, or is it by itself. That's just
What's the coolest one you come like art piece you've come upon with that daydreaming element? And what's the one where, like nah, like I tried it, it just didn't come out how I envisioned it.
okay. The coolest one is probably my goddess painting. It's like a woman. She's sitting on a throne
Mm-hmm.
with a light coming out of between her legs,
Okay.
and there's like what appears to be men bowing, but you could just they're humans
Yeah, yeah.
worshiping her. And I remember seeing that a long time ago, and they sketched up and I was like, who's this on a pedestal? These people bowing. This is kind of freaking me out. And so then I put it away. And then years later, like someone brought a painting concept to me and then it re-sparked the whole idea. And it's really cool. It's as I saw also as I built my spirituality, that's when I saw it
Mm-hmm.
because it was my version of God. It was like Father God is also the mother, and God has no gender, God is God, but we've been seeing things as women and masculines for so long, and I felt so disconnected from God and everything else. So as I started to read different histories and different books and religious books, other things like this, I'm seeing, oh, well, there was a feminine example of God as well, because we're all made in God's image.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I want to see her. I want
Yeah.
to see her. So I made her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably one of the people's favorite paintings, like, when I
Ooh,
bring her
okay.
out. Like, I, again, almost brought her, but her nipples are showing, so I didn't know
Ah, yeah. Good
if
save. No, it would have been cool to see, but it's like
yeah, I would have, like, tape them because she's nude. It's just
mm-hmm.
the female form.
Yeah.
That one's really cool. I'm trying to think of one that I've tried that I just didn't like, but here's the thing, if I did that, I probably just, like, out of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Do you think you
just
changed it
paint over
later
it.
or like
A lot of times I will just paint over it and
okay.
change it later.
So it's like at
I
first
don't
you're like,
know.
no, this isn't working, but you made it work basically.
Basically,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, there is a couple that I haven't finished. Okay, so yeah, there's one that's sitting above my desk right now, and I started her 4 years ago. It's a Jorogomu. It's a Japanese spider demon.
Okay.
Basically, like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
one of the versions of like succubus.
Yeah.
And it's a woman that lives in a cave. It is like 1,000-year-old, 8,000-year-old spider that transforms into a beautiful woman and lures men into the cave off their
Hmm.
lust, and then eats them.
Hmm.
Classic story.
Nom nom nom.
Right. So she's just sitting there with her like legs out. But I started at a time when I was just started painting faces, so I hate her face. And I
Okay.
keep looking at like, I don't know how to fix you without completely redoing you. And I
Yeah.
just like haven't cared enough to do it.
Mm.
So it's like I think she's getting left behind.
So that's one of those things where like the interest doesn't lie there anymore. So it's like I
Yeah.
can't really remake this because this isn't where my head's at now. It
Yeah.
was like a moment in time.
Right. And
Yeah.
I would probably do her like my other painting over here
Hmm.
because I'm kind of going over like the feminine archetypes, the different types of women and the stories and mythologies. So I got the
Yeah.
succubus, then I've got Medusa, and then I
Hmm.
got the goddess. And I have Mother Nature as well. It's like a big tree woman looking over the earth. Um, so that's really where this got inspired by that one
Yeah.
essentially. When I
Hmm.
started that's when I did all of these later on down the road. So I think if I do retouch on it, I'm going to do a completely different design.
Other than we talked about like daydreaming, what other like things spark your mind when you're creating a painting, or like sparks the idea like, okay, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to do.
Sometimes if I'm really sad,
Hmm.
and then like I'll start drawing,
Yeah.
and then I'll get images. But that's one thing that used to really give me a lot of inspiration was my experiences and trying to work through it all
Hmm.
and trying to transmute that into the art.
Yeah.
But now it can be just kind of any experience, whether it's like a sad experience or I'm feeling like I've just reconnected or connected deeper to God, how I'm trying to show what I've learned. Um, but sometimes I'm on Pinterest and I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, ooh, this is pretty. I could do this to that.
Mm.
And then I just screenshot it and then
Yeah.
I look at it for a while and come back to it and then eventually I'll draw it or you know, draw it or create something based off that image and create something pretty. Like sometimes I just do stuff because it's pretty, not because it means a whole lot.
How do you change it from inspiration versus like copying? Like, what would you say the line is where you're like, this is actually inspire me versus I'm just.
So for one, I like to use real photos. I don't like to go on Pinterest and see someone's drawn out design or a
Mm.
CGI design and take that.
So it'd be photos versus art. Well, for photos versus like painting or drawing because they're
Right.
both art.
That's where
But
if I'm taking an image and I'm like a snake I did, it was just a picture of this rainbow snake. Someone probably edited it. I mean, they had to have, it's rainbow,
yeah.
but it's just a photo of a snake. And so then I change the colors up a little bit. Or one thing I've done like with this Medusa right here
Hmm.
is there's somebody they'll do like figure sketches. So it's all you're getting is the blank face and just like the positioning of the body.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so
Hmm.
then I'll use that because that's how I got her holding it like this, is because I saw this super rough outline that people put out there for people to use
Yeah.
as figure references. And then I took that and I got the angle how I wanted it, and then I carried it forward into a snake woman.
Okay.
So I try not to use art from other people. Now it's different if like a customer is like, hey, I found this picture on Pinterest and I really want you to paint it for me. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not going to post it and say that's mine, but
Yeah.
I'll do it for you. That's no
Okay.
problem. I don't care.
So
It'll
would
look
you
different.
say everything you've posted is basically it was for you, or
Hmm.
have you posted any of the stuff that you've done for other people?
Oh, no, I posted some of the stuff I've done for other people. If
Okay.
I really like the piece
Yeah.
or I'm trying to let people know that I have availability for
Hmm.
commissions, then I'll post it. There's one on my page right now that's a Freddy versus Jason where they're like mid fight.
Oh, sweet.
And I actually got that from, it was some kind of statue figurine that
Hmm.
someone had sent me a picture of. So it wasn't a drawing, it was like a picture of a statue thing. It was
Yeah.
cool, but like, so I had to figure out how to take that and make it into a drawing and into a painting. That was a challenge, but like that wasn't completely my design. But I shifted that from being
Yeah, but you take elements of it, you're like, this is.
right.
Hmm.
It's like a 3D object to art. So it's like, but art's confusing like that. That's why it kind of, you can't really copyright your pieces or
Yeah.
anything. You can't. Somebody can copy you regardless.
Yeah. What's wild is even with dance now they've done some people had taken stuff that someone else like originally created. They even do like what is it, DOC or DC, like dance credit. So like whoever
Mhm.
like originally created that dance, will be like, oh yeah, my homie or like this cool person like did this
Right.
dance. So they'll do it and they'll like own it and make it their own dance, add their own little flair to it. But they'll still be like, hey, this is a person.
Right.
Not of course not everyone does that because like anything else, like, you can't get everyone to agree.
Mhm.
But more so that's become common, which I like, where it's like, hey, like I took this dance, I like saw this art and it inspired me. I saw like this meme. It's like
Mhm.
anything like that where it's like you're giving credit while still like yeah.
Exactly. And if I can find the credit of somebody though who I've gotten inspiration from, I did it one time. It was somebody who would ask me to paint a logo that someone had made for them. So when I posted the painted logo, I tagged the person that made the
Hmm.
logo.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of stuff like that. But that's funny you said about the dance credit thing because
Hmm.
that's honestly that's not even legal. That's people properly policing themselves. You think about it in a way
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, we acknowledge as a unit this isn't okay.
Well,
Let's
I'll
do
say
better for the most parts because all the big creators, that's where it really matters is the big
yeah,
guys
that's
doing
where it
it.
matters, but it's almost legal because
Yeah,
because
it
it's
could be.
it's it's still like a gray area. But what was it? There was I think it was like Fortnite or some game where they took like a dance and someone actually like sued them and they actually like won.
So now they're actually now the Fortnite is that happened thanks to
Hmm.
that person. They're paying these dancers and taking the dances with their permission now.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, but that's sometimes what it takes. A little
Yeah.
uh.
Someone almost has to like be the experiment or the martyr.
Right. It was funny. One time I did a because I'll sometimes do little dancey dances
Hmm.
because I love dancing.
Yeah.
And I did this one, and I don't know, it was something silly. So at the end, I was like, and I said something in the comments, and then my friend who's in LA, and that's his job, is he
Yeah.
makes viral dances. He said, "Bro, that's my dance." I was like, "Oh, my bad, bro. I didn't know it." Been at that point had traveled so much, I
Yeah.
didn't see
Yeah.
any credits, and I was like, "I'm just kidding. I love it. Still love it." Like,
But
so
yeah, that's that stuff spreads like wildfire to where it's once one person sees
yeah,
it, then another person sees it. Happens with slang a lot too, where there's words I didn't even know, like we don't really know where it came from. Just like everyone kind of happened to say it around the same time,
right.
and then like there's probably like five people who all thought of it, and then everyone in their friend group started saying it, and then just goes from there. Where it's like, okay, now this is the way people say things.
I feel like whoever with the slang starts, it comes from people who are hyper charismatic that are like got that like contagious charisma. So when they
Hmm.
keep saying something and they get stuck on it, everyone's like, "Now that's the thing. I'm saying it because he's saying it." It makes you laugh. So then it just carries and carries.
I heard one that's it's wild. When I was younger, and he said it all the time. It just never stuck because it just didn't make sense to any of us. But he'd say it all the time. He was like one of those charismatic people, but he'd say that everyone would start scratching their head. It was
What is it?
it was fuck me in the ass and call me Aunt Shirley or Sherry, and we
I've
were like,
heard that before though.
yeah, I
I've
hadn't
heard
heard
it
that before. I was
before.
like, wait, what? And we're all just like scratching our head, like, okay. And he stuck to it for a while. It was like 3 years where he'd say there's okay, okay.
That's hilarious. Like
For
very
you,
extreme.
yeah, it's very extreme. I forgot the question. It was basically about like your path for art. Like it was the when you have commissions, how do you find that line between like passion and I need to get paid?
I'm still trying to find the perfect
Yeah.
line because
Mhm.
Lord have mercy, it can be kind of hard sometimes. Like, um, you have to I have to find the balance because when I first started, and I don't know if this isn't just part of the journey that's necessary sometimes, but having to do a lot of commissions. Like when I first went full time, it was kind of on a whim because I hated my job and it had my final mental breakdown. I was like, screw this.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, who needs me to paint them something? And I was doing
Mhm.
so many dogs. I was doing families. I was doing babies. Lots of dogs though. I want to emphasize the
Lots of
dogs.
dogs.
I can. You need me to paint you a dog? I got you. Like, but I got to a point that I was just miserable a little bit
Mhm.
because I mean I was pumping out like 20 something paintings like over the course of like a month or two, which was just paying my bills, and that was all I was doing was just the art, and it just became, I need to get more money, I need to get more commissions, what do people want me to paint cartoons, pay cartoons, pay cartoons, it took the life out of
Was
me a
it
little
that
bit.
you didn't have enough time to work on your own craft, like your passions, or was it you weren't getting it paid enough, and so
um
you were having to work harder for each one to get more in?
so I definitely needed to raise my prices, but at
Yeah.
the time I didn't have the skill set where I think that I really could have, is how I felt.
Mm.
um but I also like I needed to find a way to lessen the pressure of needing the money for bills
Mm-hmm.
so that I could funnel money into the art. Because using the art just to pay the bills, it didn't feel as it didn't feel very great because it was just like I was painting for nothing, and then I didn't have time for the originals, like you're saying. All I had time for was dog portraits, and so it was too much.
Was the skill level not there, like honestly, or was it just you weren't sure, like if you could charge more?
Um, I think at first the skill level wasn't there, but after a couple months it was, and I was just being a baby and being scared that
Ah,
people would
okay.
say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, I was doing paintings for like $100 a piece, and
Yeah.
now it's like typically I start at 250, then that's small.
Mm.
Like and that's
And how long did they
kind of
take back then?
well, I mean, like the way that I was painting, it was like my life depended on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
now it's like I'm a little more like I'm gonna take my time and really just cultivate something.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, I gotta get it done, gotta get it done. So I mean, I would do dog portraits in a day. Like it depends how big dog portraits, couple hours,
Mm-hmm.
like 6-7 hours, maybe,
Okay.
maybe. Like it
Yeah.
depends on the portrait. Um, but yeah, I just got really, really sick of that.
Mm.
Like it's a little bit more enjoyable selling a couple pieces a month for a higher price point than
Yeah.
trying to bust out all those small ones. And getting prints and stuff really helped a lot.
Is it that you get to take more time with it, or is it like a blend of that and less pressure, less
Yeah,
stress?
less pressure, less stress makes your creativity flow a
Mm-hmm.
lot better. And that is why I ended up I was looking for something because at the time I was hard headed. I was like, I don't want to work for anybody else ever again. Like screw this. But I was like, but I need to find something, honestly. I need to find something that gives me the freedom, but pays me what I'm worth. Um, and so it could take the pressure off. And then maybe even something, preferably for me, if I'm doing any kind of side job, I'm doing something that could teach me something. I
Yeah.
want to do something that is interesting to me. Like I tried doing framing at Michael's during all of this, but like like any typical corporate kind of like chain store, you don't want to work there. Like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have to work every day of the week to make money. You can't just part time it, which is when I got into the wholesale fashion temp work.
Wait, what was that? Like what?
That was 2018, 19. One of my friends had posted something and saying, we need a girl for a week. And at the time I was like, I need, give me some money. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Give me some money. um, because rent was going up too at the time. So yeah, I went and did it and just sold some clothes to some small businesses. And I was like, I get to try on clothes all day. And then I get to work with women who remind me of my mom and sell them clothes. You're telling me I'm styling people in the South? Like, so like everyone's got to come buy from your boutique. This is cool. I
Yeah.
like
It
this.
sounds like a win.
I'm interested. Yeah. So that I just said it. Yeah. Sign me on, coach. And I'm now one of the managers for their traveling team.
Ooh,
So, but
nice.
it's like sporadic. So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
off November, December.
Okay.
Well, no, I take that back. I'm going to work at the week in December. We're going to LA.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. Like going to the warehouse. It's cool.
I've been trying to get in that for fashion shows. I was doing like styling for men,
Hmm.
so I'd like to just hit me up like, hey, this is what I want to wear. Like, this is what I want to look like, and I'm like, okay, like let me get basically like a consultant for them. Just like, hey,
Hmm.
like this is what you should get. These are the things I recommend. And I'd like over give them like what they should get. Just so many options that way. It's like, oh yeah, it was definitely worth it to
Yeah.
like to pay for this.
Yeah, I know there's opportunities all up in the
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Market Center for
Oh
that.
yeah.
The men's lines and shows, like they have a men's apparel show and stuff, and it could be. I mean, I know people who have got, excuse me, permanent showrooms in there.
Ooh,
So if
okay.
you want to get in on it,
Oh yeah, I'd
I,
definitely be interested.
yeah, I'll definitely scope it out for you. See what I can do.
I've been having fun with that, and just like
That's
I've
awesome.
taken like a long break from modeling, but like that's what I was doing. And it's funny, like it seems like every time I take a break for something, everyone starts hitting me up. 'Cause I had like two friends. I had two. One of them, she was on this show. She's like a fashion designer.
Hmm.
She's like, "Hey, do you want to be like my art show? Like I'm doing one in like mid-December. So come through and like you can just like wear my clothes and just like hang out, and then I'll do a presentation for my show."
Yeah.
So
Why don't you do it?
oh, I'm doing it.
Okay.
No, but it's like things like that where it seems like when you're better at networking basically, or you just like hit people up, you're more communicative. Say, oh, like things just kind of happen.
Hmm.
It's like, oh,
And sometimes it's a sign too if that's something that's aligned with your path,
hmm,
and you just kind of like, I don't think it's for me. I don't want to do it right now.
yeah,
And then it keeps coming back to you. It's a
hmm,
sign you should be keep doing it.
yeah,
That's my
exactly.
thing. It's you
Hmm.
can't get away from it. Well, let's feed into it. Let's see what we can do with it.
My thing is like, oh, let me do less instead of like
Yeah.
over. So I wanted to focus on this for now and
Hmm.
then do that kind of on the side. Because I was doing like more fashion shows, but I was like, oh, there's other things I need to focus on, like work and like this as another side thing where it's
Yeah,
put the
dude,
effort
why
into
don't
that.
you start like a men's clothing line or something? And
Oh, I
like,
definitely want to.
especially if you're
Yeah.
doing like the whole, if you do like get it the wholesale stuff and they get like the fashion, like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could do some cool stuff like that. There's not a lot of like, especially at some of these markets and stuff that I see my friends with boutiques that are starting and their clothing lines. They're going
Hmm.
to these daytime events and like the
Yeah.
underground market and stuff, and they're making good money.
Yes,
You just go out there and
I only know a
sell them.
few. Yeah, I only know like a few guys apparels. Like I'm gonna
You
have
could throw your own fashion shows,
hmm.
man.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
that'd be dope.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many avenues with fashion and modeling and
Hmm.
those things that you can take. I mean, even just staffing and stuff like that, where you have a team of models and you put them in places.
Yeah.
Because that's what we use at work when we have holes. Because we only have a traveling team of like 4 people, but we'll have a giant booth. We need like 8 girls. So if
Hmm.
we don't have regulars, the agencies send us models,
That makes sense. Yeah.
and then we pay them. Send us models. They make money. Yeah.
Win-win.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Where do you think you want to go next with your art, like with your painting? What's something you're like, "Oh, I want to try this or I want to go this way or direction?"
So I want to get into even bigger pieces and even get my stuff to be more reactive to the lights, where it is like a installation.
Hmm.
Like think of Meow Wolf and the way that they
Oh yeah,
operate.
yeah,
Like I want to be on that scale where it is interactive and like whoa, trippy, but
yeah.
also like what does that mean? And now I'm thinking, now I'm
Hmm.
thinking about it, and now I want to find out more.
Mm,
That's the kind of direction I want for my original art to go. And then I also want to get more into making merchandise and things for people who aren't trying to spend $2,000 on a piece, but
yeah.
want to take home my art, have more options than just a
What do you
small
mean by
print.
merchandise? Like, what would you?
Like I would do more posters. Do tapestries. I would even do small
Okay.
things like
Yeah, yeah.
lighters or notebooks, planners. Like
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
that's
Hmm.
where I want to go with it. And I would even love to I'm still working on my stinking website, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
a long time coming before we get here, but have a type of planner or daily playbook for people like myself who have like ADHD and things like that, where
Yeah.
they can go through and it's like satisfying their need to do and tinker and have things like and it's like I'm writing on my notes and I can do this and I'm gonna check this off and like this colored box means this and it's grabbing your attention, like something like that, to where it's like you can help organize your life, because that's my biggest struggle. Like
Yes.
I have like 4 notebooks on my desk
I
and
finally just
different
started using
colors.
my calendar. I actually got.
Yeah,
I like to throw myself under the bus once an episode.
yeah, that's fine. Don't do it.
This one was I got like an ADHD planner, and it's like
Mhm.
really cool. It was a creative concept. Basically, you have like it has like a normal to do list, but also has like coloring stuff and other things like that, where it's things to get your mind active.
Mhm.
You want,
See,
guess
yeah.
what?
What are you doing yet?
I still haven't opened it.
Oh my god, it's okay. I didn't open up my planner till halfway through the year, but it's not that fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to
'Cause
look later. I'm
it's
gonna
supposed to be it's
try.
supposed to be
I'm
that thing
gonna
that like set
try.
me up, and I was like, I'll get to that. Like I'm
Uh,
doing decent right now, so
yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been trying to take more supplements and things in my brain.
yeah. What do you
Five
take?
5-HTP at night.
I haven't taken that in a while. I have it.
I loved it. Like it
Hmm.
is something that you're not going to take and be like, "Oh wow, I feel amazing." It's like
Yeah,
it takes about, I didn't notice it till like a week or so in, um, that that was waking up easier,
yeah.
and I feel like more motivated to like get up and do a set of things in
Mm.
the morning, and yeah, yeah, it helps with the ADHD.
There's like
Someone, yeah.
two obvious ones I take, and then there's two that I think people are starting to take, but not as much. The obvious ones were like vitamin D and like fish oil.
Mm,
Vitamin D, because it's like 80% of people are like vitamin D deficient.
probably.
Yeah, it's like really high with the, like especially with like seasonal
I guess I
depression.
need to add that one to my
Yeah,
list.
that's the one where it's because there's this guy now. He's like he has a podcast. He does like he's a neuroscientist, and he started like doing interviews and he started like diving deep into all this stuff. And he has like two really good ADHD episodes. Yeah, I'll send those to you.
Please.
And he also talked about two that blew my mind. Was one was about sunscreen, and the other one was about what was it? It was about like vitamin D and how that's such a big influence. Just because he was talking about like getting out in the sun in the morning. I was like, well, like
Hmm.
I can now because I work later. Like my job starts at 11. But before I was my old job, I had to get at work at 7. So it's
Yeah,
like
you
I'm
can't
already
really
in my
do
car,
anything.
and then I'm inside like a huge airport, and so I don't see sun until I leave. I'm like, oh, that's how bright it is outside.
Hmm.
So it's things like that where most people's schedules don't line up for doing like simple things that could help you more. He said even like 5 to 10 minutes of like sunlight in the morning exposure could like boost your mood.
Shout out to my dog, man.
Yeah.
My dog gets me outside every
He's
morning
broing
in that
you.
sunlight. Yeah.
Or she's broing you.
Because I didn't even notice that, but yeah, I was like,
Hmm.
wow, I just feel so much more like, well, like what is it, functional with a pet. It's because
Yeah.
she's taking me outside. She's taking me outside.
Because
Sunlight
what?
every
It
morning.
was like a month or two ago, I had lost my job. And so it was like a month where I was like figuring out what to do. And I was just applying for jobs, but I wasn't really going outside unless it was like to see friends. So I'd be like a hermit basically. Other than that,
We have a tendency to punish ourselves when we feel like we're not doing good enough. But you
yeah.
have to live even in those moments and not get caught in
And
that.
you know what? Funny enough, like the week before things started working out, I was like, okay, like I need to get back outside. So I started like walking in, like I started running. So like I got way more active, and I was lifting again. And I felt so much better. And then like 2 days later, it was, oh, like we got like a really great job for you. So, oh, what are
Dude, I think
the
that's the weirdest thing. I try to tell myself like this all the time, remind myself if I just make those small steps
hmm
to being the version of me that I would like to be, whether that's just waking up and going on a walk or waking up
yeah.
and doing my yoga, and then I start doing that, or I start just trying to organize my things I need to do, or trying to organize, how I would have it if I had a bunch of customers come in.
hmm
Just making those steps, all of a sudden it starts happening.
Yeah, like everything
Like
feeds into each other.
right. It's like an
So
experiment that I've been playing with. Is how I
yeah.
feel. Like I'll stop and then sing stop. I did it like it was beginning of the month. I started. I was like, I'm ramping it back up. I have 2 months off. Let me just. I woke up to like an $800 painting sale after
Oh,
about a week of
nice.
that, and I
Yeah,
was like,
this work is paying off.
thank you.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. So it's like those. Yeah,
yeah.
we think that those things don't matter. Like going on a walk every morning is not going to get you money. Well, no, not literally, but like
Yeah.
it is going to bring you closer to where you want to be to give you the opportunity to have that because you're the person that can receive it.
And things like that. I think it's like a mental game
Mm-hmm.
because it feels like so much work, but those little things that you put effort into give you more energy to do the things you want to do. So it's a feedback loop. It's like if I don't have
Yes,
the
I
energy
like
to
that
do
feedback
this,
loop.
then I have no energy to do everything else I want to do because it's like moving, sunlight, things
Mhm,
like that, like eating well. Those things all feed into giving the energy to do like every little thing you want to do. And
mhm.
it's like I wonder why I feel like shit. It's
It's like, well,
and
yeah,
everyone
you're not
kind of knows
eating, you're
why,
not
but
going
then it feels
outside.
like a pain to do.
Yeah, and
Mm.
that's 100% true, especially if you experience any type of mental
Yeah.
illnesses of any kind. Like
Hmm.
it gets like that. Like my ADHD burnout can be really rough, and then so can like my I have bipolar depression. So like I get real low when I get
Hmm.
real low, and I might be woo for like a day or two and then I level back out.
Yeah.
But like those moments where I'm low, like I've gotten really good at it now because it's been so long. But like before, it would just be like, well, I can't do anything. I'm just gonna lay in bed today. And the
Yeah.
next thing you know, there's been like 4 days and you haven't really showered, you haven't
Yeah.
done anything. So my biggest thing is shower,
Hmm.
shower. Like that's gonna be the one thing that snaps you out of it. If you have to put a little cold water in that, it'll snap your nervous system. It wake you up and that feeling of cleanliness and everything else automatically makes you feel a little bit better. And so that's like the first thing I try to do when I can feel it coming on is I try to like just jump into those things like and cling on to that with dear life. Like, am I showering? Am I eating? Am I brushing my teeth?
Yeah. Shower, brushing your teeth, and then
Get out
water
of the
and water
pajamas.
and sleep.
Yes, and
But clothes is a good one.
get out of the pajamas. You
Yeah.
have to brush your hair, get out of pajamas because I'm telling you, if you look in the mirror and you see yourself like that, even if you're feeling better, you're gonna think that you're feeling like you were because you're also used to going into this loop
Hmm.
of depression. So if you see yourself in the same state that you would be depressed in, you risk getting triggered by your own reflection in the mirror.
It goes back to the feedback loop where it's
The
like I
feedback
feel
loop.
this way. And I'm looking at it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
still feel this way.
Yeah. Like some
I
days,
look
if
like trash. And
right, like midweek, especially, like, I won't be leaving the house. I'm working at the house,
hmm
but I get up and maybe I had my hair done yesterday. Okay, I put in a cute pony. I put on like a shirt that I kind of care about, not really, but like, it doesn't look like a holy t-shirt
yeah.
and, some nice sweats. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I can go into my office now, like
Mm.
that's how it feels. Like I just did something for something. So let me go do that. Cause what else did I just get dressed for?
And that's another thing. Like when you said the closing, that's what I did that last week. It was being active, and I actually like got dressed like I had somewhere to be. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like now I got even more applications done. I got even more stuff, like even
Yeah.
things I wanted to get done. And what was it? Oh yeah, the other two supplements. It was glycine.
Oh,
Glycine helps you sleep better. So like you go into like deeper sleep
I
basically.
see.
Glycine. The other one was ashwagandha.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
ashwagandha.
yeah,
It can make me sleepy if I take it in the afternoon, so I usually will take it at night. L-theanine is what I'll take in the morning with my coffee to
yeah.
kind of
Same.
to
Mine's like a
focus and
combination. It's
relax
like
it.
ashwagandha and theanine.
So is that how you say it?
I
Theanine?
don't know how to
I
say
don't know.
it.
Also, reishi is amazing for. It's a
What's reishi?
mushroom. It's a
Okay.
mushroom. It's really good for
Those mushrooms,
focus.
man.
Yeah, the reishi and lion's mane is really good for that mental
Oh, okay, wait.
clarity.
So it is lion's mane, or is it like a style
There's
of?
two. There's
Okay.
two. Reishi and lion's mane. You can get a lot of supplements
Okay.
that'll have both in it, but
Hmm.
the reishi is really good with the focusing and relaxation, and the lion's mane as well. With the turning on of your brain connectors in there.
Yes, I didn't know about theanine until like I heard about it from like a fitness guy
They're
on
putting in a lot
YouTube.
of energy drinks now.
Yeah, because I didn't realize it. Just makes sure like when you're having caffeine, it just makes it smoother. So it's like instead of a rush, it's like a focus energy
Yeah, I
instead
hate
of a instead of the
that.
jitters. Yeah.
I hate that. So like I'm forgetting to breathe. Hold on. Like
One, two.
that's how it feels. Yeah, I want to take different supplements. I'm keeping adding different things. Like I've been taking magnesium every day. That's
Hmm.
good for stress.
Oh, that was another one. That was like I think that was top two or three. It was like vitamin D, zinc, and magnesium.
Mm,
All the ones like everyone's deficient in.
yeah, the magnesium has helped a lot
Yeah,
with my stress because I don't get caught in my doom loops anymore.
yeah. Check out what was it? It's ZMA. It has both zinc and magnesium in it.
CMA?
Hmm. Yeah, because zinc was the other one
Yeah,
where
I
it's
take
like,
that daily
oh,
too.
okay,
So right now I'm on the magnesium, zinc, Claritin because I got a stuffy nose.
I should do
Um,
that.
what is the other one? I take it's like ginkgo.
Hmm.
Oh, ginkgo something. It's a supplement for your brain. I can't think of it. Ginkgo something. I know that's part of the word. Gingko.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, that's
but I've been taking
okay.
that too because I was like, oh wait, I still have some of these, and I started putting it in my daily pill thing.
Oh, nice.
But it's for also for memory. Helps with memory and
I
brain
need that
function.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Lysine is also good for immune system. If like you can't take zinc for some reason or you don't like zinc, but
There's one more I'll send to you. It's similar to brain function, but it's like brain function and just like general like health,
mm-hmm.
like keeping like your DNA like stacked.
Yeah.
So for you, other than these things we just talked about, like we're gonna add one more, add a little spice to it.
Okay.
What's one more thing you do since you said you work from home, right, for the most
Mhm.
part? So when you're painting, what's one thing you do like daily that gets you like going?
Yoga.
Yoga. Okay.
Yoga. And like I started developing. I became one of those yogis a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
where I started developing a personal experience with yoga, where I started to understand that it's not just about stretching;
Mm-hmm.
it's about circulation too. Yes, but
Yeah.
it's also about muscle and core strength. But it's also about mindfulness.
Mm.
So if you can get into a flow, and here's what's also interesting is if you get into a flow of moves with yoga, you'll end up in a position or doing a move that you had no idea you could even do, but it's because your sense of balance and your in tuneness with your body is now so in sync that you're now balancing in a way that you're like, how the like
It's
when
like,
I
oh
started
shit,
doing
I
the
just flowed into
crow,
this.
I started doing the crow on just two hands, and I was like, what is this? Like I remember, like when I did it, I was like, oh, I can't do this, and then I was up there, I was like, whoa,
Wow.
like, but it's because
Hmm.
I had worked my way into that position,
Yeah.
so it's really good for that. And then the mindfulness I can't emphasize enough. It grounds you in the moment, in the present moment, into your body, so you don't feel like a stranger in your own body. It can help with those issues and disconnection, especially with trauma. Another thing is it helps move emotions through the body. So there's
Mm.
been times like hot yoga will do it to you. If you got something you need to cry about, do
It
some
comes
hot
out.
yoga, and then afterwards you're gonna feel it, and you're gonna feel the moment of what it is and the release is coming out of you, or you're just gonna be so in present.
Yeah.
It's really good, and it's healed parts of my body that I've injured before that I didn't think were ever gonna be the same. Yoga helped fix that.
Nice, nice.
So I love
Yeah. I think for me it was definitely morning runs. Like I started
yoga.
picking that back up again. Earlier this year I got injured. I was with my ex and we both got into it too much. So I got gifted an Apple Watch and I started using it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I started treating like activity like a game. And I
Yeah,
forgot, oh yeah,
that's
like
why I want Apple
I should be aware of
Watch.
my body.
Yeah.
So I got too into it because
Oh,
I tore my calf.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that was a bad
Well,
thing.
it's a good thing overall. I just need to be more aware. But I found like a good app because when I was using it, like I basically double what I was supposed to do. I was like, this is so fun. Like I'm enjoying it. And my body's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah, you can't go
But
too
this
hard.
one, it's Nike Run Club.
Mm.
And so mine, I was just doing like hard runs every day. This one, it's like one day, it's a recovery run. You're just like chilling, enjoying nature,
Yeah, you
enjoying
gotta
music.
recover if you're
And
going
then
hard.
ones go hard, and the ones that go really hard, but it's short. So they have it trained for me to where I'm running a lot, but it's not destroy yourself, destroy your body
Right.
run.
It's probably with a little bit more science behind it of how you can
Yeah,
actually get your
exactly.
body to be better.
Hmm.
You can't go hard every single day on the same part of your body, which running is doing.
Exactly.
Right? But hey, we all learn lessons. Like you stretch before you do the splits.
Mm-hmm.
You will pop a tendon. Wish you had sound effects.
What other elements do you see, or what are like constant themes you see in your painting? Because I know it was like goddesses in nature, right?
Eyeballs.
Eyeballs.
Lots of eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I think the eyeballs is, for one, it was just something that was always easy to draw, but eyeballs also are universal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like
love
to,
eyes. Yeah.
the more people I can connect to a piece, the better. So I try to use things like that. Like, okay, wait, what?
Because I draw like 100 eyes a day. I'm so, oh my gosh, this is so fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something about an eyeball. I love it. So you can do a lot of things with that. But besides that, yeah, the nature and femininity right now is a big focus. But that's gonna shift and change as my life shifts and change, and I start diving into different interests and things. I'm a reader, and I am a nerd about things. If something interests me, I'm gonna figure out why it is the way it is.
What was it before this? Like what drew you in before these three? Like what elements were common?
No, I think that's really where it started.
Okay, yeah.
Instantly, it was trying to get something like ethereal and like out there that made people be like, "What is that?" Like trippiness. Really, honestly, I think that's where it started, because I was a psychonaut in my early 20s and late teens. Like I tripped so much, and so I wanted something pretty to look at. I wanted to make pretty stuff, you know. So at the time, I was just drawing trippy things and painting trippy things, but I just craved something deeper in some of the work, you know. So I started trying to.
It sounds weird, but deeper. I can picture it. But what would you consider like trippiness?
Something that's kind of hypnotic. So the colors can be really just alone can be a thing. Like that's why I add the lights. But like I would also look at things like the way the waves like on this. That's trippy to me. You know, like it's just a little bit surreal. Like that's what it is, where it's like I recognize that's an eyes and a nose, but I don't know what it's doing.
What are those other elements
what
in there?
Is it doing? You know, like that's the vibe. A lot of fractal patterns and things like that. So I've been trying to work on my geometry. Ancient geometry. It's pretty cool.
What other elements have you added in your surrealism, like over time? Things you've like dabbled in or made to spice it up? We're like, ooh, I'm really proud of this.
So I started doing like the watery color kind of backgrounds. And it's just where I'm basically doing puddles of colored acrylic water paint and letting them dry, like with watermarks, and doing backgrounds like that. So it's like people don't really know what it is. They're like, is that like an ink? Is it alcohol ink? Is that like a watercolor? And like, I love that. Like, you be confused. Please be confused. I don't want you to know what it is. You know, like I want you to be like, what? But then it'll have like a real image over it. So it's like, but the background, but like also the image is cool, but the background, but like, you know, like you're torn between like,
you can't even focus. It's just so many elements drawing you into it.
Yeah. So I want to keep kind of doing stuff like that and finding different ways to create different textures and different, just something stimulating to the eyeball. Like, because again, I guess it goes back to a lot of my art is very inspired by my psychedelic experiences. And if you know, you know, but concrete looks crazy when you're tripping. Okay. You see all of like the little gibbets, you see all the little like, oh, the green. Like you won't even know there's green in the concrete. And you trip and you're like, I see green. Hold on, it's green, it's gray, it's tan. But like, you know, and it's something that's like you overlook. So I kind of like want to bring that same vibe to some of my backgrounds and stuff, where it's like you're seeing like a pattern, but there's no pattern, but there's something going on there. I don't know how to really put words to it. That's like, that's what I want. I want there to be no words. So should be like, yeah. Like,
is there something to actually like being able to like read people's energy?
What do you mean?
Like if you were tripping?
Oh yeah, that's real.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, and it goes into science when we look at the brain waves, when there's been studies on brain waves and how they sync up to the people that you're in proximity with. So if somebody's angry in the room, we all kind of feel it depending, you know, how outward they are with it. But like, for example, think of your dad. If your dad was your mom and she's angry, but she ain't said a word, but you know she's mad.
Oh, you can feel it. Yeah.
Feel it by the way she walked in the front door.
It's like the tension, the facial expression.
Yeah. So we do in our day to day. That's one thing I learned too with tripping, is a lot of the things that you're seeing and experiencing aren't. Yeah, it's because of the drug, but it's with your brain. Your brain can already have those capabilities to see outside of the reality of things.
You're basically being able to like understand your intuition.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah.
it heightens all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you feel your person with you. So, but you also you feel intention more.
Yeah.
So if you're watching your favorite TV show, like you can feel the intention in the art, like
Mm.
of what they're really trying to convey. Or what was like really weird is, for example, I watched the '70s show one time while I was tripping, and it's for the most part was cool. But later that series, they got more sexual and their innuendos. But I didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
notice it. It's sober. I was like, ah, whatever. But like when I was tripping, it was like I could like see them laughing behind their lines, even though
Mm-hmm.
they weren't really laughing. Me and my friends are all looking at each other like, y'all seeing like this is weird. Like
Yeah.
it's like I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching the show, but I'm more so reading what the actors are feeling during the show. It was weird. So that was really cool.
Yeah, 'cause
Or
I
yeah.
remember Mila Kunis like complaining about that because it was like, what was it, like the writers like had to like basically kiss like almost everyone on the show.
Yeah, it
And it's
started
like,
getting a little too like they were
mm-hmm.
pushing that. It was when the sexual stuff was really getting pushed in the media.
Yeah.
You know, early 2000s. It started to really hit
Oh
the
yeah, it
late
got really
2000s.
raunchy back then.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was you saw that switch in that series, which I look back sober, and that's where I figured out. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's why that was weirding me out. I could feel that they were trying too hard,
Yeah.
you know, and then the actors felt uncomfortable, so they're kind of laughing as they're saying these things, you know, like so which is also why you have to be careful what you're watching because the intention that's put into it, because then you can start like you can get freaked out, like you're gonna get brainwashed, but
Yeah.
you'll get freaked out. Like I remember watching Hercules, and I will never watch that again on psychedelics.
Oh, okay, I was like, why?
It's fucking weird. I
Uh,
don't know. Disney movies get real weird. You feel some weird intentions in those old Disney movies. Like, so when I started reading the conspiracies after, I was like, so that's what I was sensing. So
mm,
that's what was crazy is that things I was picking up in media when I would watch, I would then the next day go and read about. And I'm like, oh, this is a real thing. I was
yeah.
literally reading that energy through what I was watching because I'm heightened because of the psychedelic, which is the point of those is to heighten reality so you can see what's real and readjust.
But with the Disney thing, I think they did that with like a lot of animation. It
Oh
was
yeah.
like it's like adults who are bored with what they're doing, and so they add the little jokes that only like the adults will notice. Because you'll
Yeah,
see that in
there's some of
a
that.
lot of shows and movies where it's like, oh, like I get that now, but if you're
Right.
young, it just like goes right over your head.
And
Good,
I think that
thankfully,
maybe
but
even what it was is a little bit in the movie is it's why I don't always like to try to assume these things are malicious,
yeah, yeah.
but it's like you're watching it when your inner child is very out when you're tripping too. So it's
Hmm.
like you're watching it with like I love this as a kid. Now I'm watching it and oh my god, they're creepy. Oh, they're being creepy.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that realization, that moment, and then it's like I was freaked out. I was like, turn it off. But or like Kid Cudi was one for me. He's one of my biggest like inspirations, like music wise. It's
Hmm.
like probably the only well now Doja Cat's really influencing some of my art as well. Like I love
Mm,
her style of music and
yeah.
her creativity. But the only other person was Kid Cudi, and it's still him. I love him. I love you so much, Kid Cudi.
What
But
about their music influences your art?
so I liked how he doesn't stick to any kind of one way of being. His
Hmm.
words are all like you can tell he makes music out of love, you know, love for the music, and
Hmm.
he's trying to express himself and he's trying to show other people who are like him that you're not alone. And I love that how he does that, and then also how he brings it to fruition with his weird hums and his weird melodies and the
Mm,
way
yeah,
he's
yeah.
constantly switching it up, and his style, like his art style of what the fucking videos, I mean everything that he does. I love the way he does his thing, even when it's like not quite at my alley. Like the rock album, I was like, okay, this isn't my favorite,
Was it
but
just him or was it the combo one?
it was just him.
Okay.
With the guitar with the I forget the name of it. It's the one where he's like in the field. He's like, oh
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like there was some on there I liked, but that wasn't my favorite. But yeah. And so too, he is very conscious and aware. I think that's why he took a huge break from the industry
Yeah.
because he hated what he was seeing. Like the song "Nobody Knows," I think is what it's called, and he's like talking about the way they're feeding off of the population and the youth. And I just like at the time though, like King Wizard, the music video, the ending when he did this weird thing with the sound, he changes the sound waves.
Hmm.
And if you're stoned at all, even you can feel the anxiety a little bit. Like if you really
Mm,
listen to it loud, you can feel the way the sound waves change. And if you're watching the video after he does it, he points at the camera and he's like, see, because he's trying to show you life's a lie. Like the things that you're watching and the way you feel triggered when you watch television, that's not real. A lot of this is like sound waves are messing with our brain waves. Like binaural beats is an ancient thing. It's
yeah.
science, it's real. They can make you feel fear without you audibly hearing anything. That's what scary movies do all the time.
Hmm.
You're like, why do I feel so anxious? I know it's coming. It's like
Yeah.
there's a sound being pulsated through your speakers that you can't really pick up.
There's like sound, music, even just like the environment where they're at.
Mm,
Because I enjoy scary movies a lot, but I actually can't do like scary games.
mm.
And the reason why is because it feels more like you're actually in it because you're playing as
Mhm.
that character. So everything they're
Yeah.
experiencing, you're like, oh, like this person is coming for me. This thing is happening. In a movie, I'm watching them experience it.
Right.
So it's a little
I feel
different.
you on that. I've tried to play. My dad was a huge PlayStation guy, and so
Yeah.
I grew up watching him playing video games with him. And I could play like the alien shooter games, like Resistance. Love that game.
Hmm.
But some of the other ones, I can't think of the name of the one. But there was one I remember it scared the shit out of me. There was like these zombie things that were like burrowing through the walls, and they pop out, and it was
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
forget what it was called. I mean, I don't know. It was super scary. And then my dad got the VR thing,
Oh, no.
and he put me in a freaking zombie infested building, and
Yeah, I
I
hated that. I tried
definitely tripped
VR.
and fell. I
Yeah.
typical, like I ran.
Mm.
Like I was like,
I
don't
wa-
like zombies
I
at
want to
all.
go back to the music things. I think that's why I like Doja Cat's most recent album too. 'Cause it felt like it seems like there's a, what do you call it? Like a pattern.
Mm,
Basically, you like first or second album, or maybe usually the first one, but both. They put their heart into it, and either they don't make it and they keep on pushing, like doing their own creative path,
mm,
or they make it, and so like either the second or the third album gets corrupted because it's no longer just for them. It's also what's popular, what's
mm-hmm.
gonna make you money.
Sell out.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's like almost with any creative path, it's that struggle of finding
Mm-hmm.
your own voice, making sure you're still being creatively you, while also hearing like, oh my gosh, like I love you, I love
And
this
then
about
pleasing
you.
their labels and stuff
Yeah,
too, which is a
exactly.
problem. And I think they have to prove. I feel like with some artists, we'll see them get more creative control when they've proven that like
You can make money.
what I'm doing works. People like my
Hmm.
weirdness. They like what I'm doing. So let me do it. You know, like, because I was kind of shocked that she was able to get out of because they were trying to create her into a pop star.
Yeah, yeah.
They were trying to push her
Hmm.
to be something that she wasn't really trying to be.
Yeah,
And so she kind of did what they wanted with the first album. The second album was a little bit more of her, but this album, I feel she's really gotten more control where she's
yeah.
like, no, I'm doing what I want to do. And I don't care if y'all like it or not, you know? But it's going to sell now because I've created that momentum. So now I can do what I want to do. And I
Hmm.
don't need y'all to like it, you know, to a degree. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I think that whole being like, I don't even like y'all, like, thing was just to see, like, how much do y'all fuck with me? If I'm going to say
yeah.
this and y'all still like
Hmm.
my music, then we're good.
Because there's so many artists where they get lost in the sauce. We're like, wait, where
Mm.
where am I going?
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
after like the first, second album. That's
yeah.
weird. Well, it's just same old, same old. Like,
'Cause
and
I had a
that's what I like
friend
about her.
on like a few episodes ago. He's in a band called Cure for Paranoia, and they were
I know
they
the band.
yeah, yeah, they were. He was talking about how with their element, it's like how do you create timeless music? It's like keeping in mind one, like doing what you want to do, but also there's like patterns in music where things, just like in style, there's certain things just keep on coming back around. Where it's like, okay, this element or these things, they always sound good. So adding like a little of that seasoning to what you want to do, as
Hmm.
long as like it's something you enjoy, of course.
Right.
But
And that's why I think, and that just made me think of one of the songs on her album where she talks about I study the greats, and that's what you're supposed to do. You don't
yeah,
study the audience. You don't study
mm-mm.
them. You study what you know has always been working and what people gravitate towards. What is authentic? What is staple? And
And
then
you
you
don't
make
even
it
necessarily
yours.
stand. You don't even necessarily like check out what's popular. You check out what's popular and
Yeah.
lasted,
What's
or
lasting?
like yeah, what's lasting and what's quality. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who were like, popular 2 years ago, and just like no
Hmm.
one like fucks with
They
them
didn't have
anymore.
anything that was like, yeah, that had longevity, but also was unique enough to last. That's
Yeah,
in the thing too.
it
You
was
need
it was
both.
unique for that year, or unique for those
Right,
2 years.
right. It
Then
was a
everyone's like, okay,
fad, not like a style.
yeah.
I'm fucking up again.
Well, it even goes back to like they created their own fad, but then they just kept on doing that. We're like, okay, can you do anything else?
Yeah, you gotta twist it around a little
Yeah.
bit. And then there's some things that just don't work for longevities. Like you
Hmm.
think of certain styles and stuff, but then you think of like the 90s. And so at the 90s, look at the style of the 90s and look at what now is still carrying on. And that's classic now because
Yeah.
that wasn't just hot then. It's hot later. And I think that that's the same thing with like any industry. You kind of have to look at the greats a little bit and how they did
Yeah.
what they did. And the biggest thing I see with artists is they didn't care what you liked or didn't. They didn't care. They were making money. They're like, I'm just gonna make it, you know. So
Yeah. I like
that's
what I like, and I'm making it for me, basically.
right. And I think that's the biggest thing with as an artist, like painters. You really have to just do what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Don't think too much about what people want to see.
How do you have that confidence when you're painting, basically, where it's like this is what I'm enjoying. I'm just gonna do it.
Depends on the day,
Mm.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not feeling so confident, but I think it's just the years of experience now. I mean, I've been painting since like 2014, so Now I kind of have an idea of what I like to do, how I like it to show up. So I just start doing it. And there's definitely times where I haven't posted a photo right away because I was kind of nervous how it was going to be accepted,
Yeah.
especially my original stuff that isn't playing off of any mainstream or modern idea or recognizable thing. And it's like I'm posting it and I'm hoping people get it,
Yeah.
and so that I still get nervous. I mean, how I have anxiety before I start any single piece still, a little, at least a little bit. I have to hype myself up.
Do
Like
you
take
think
hours.
showing those, like the ones that have, it's basically it's more you, so it's like more vulnerable because
Hmm.
it's like you're showing more of your personality or how you're feeling or what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So it's more like you're opening up to people where they may not feel this because it's not.
Definitely. I have a
Yeah.
series called Healing that
Hmm.
is my personal healing journey and the different waves of it because it's not linear,
Yeah.
and those paintings, that was actually the first series that dropped though, and I was so surprised how it resonated with people, and how they liked it so much. Like
Hmm.
it was scary, and like I still add to it all the time, and I have one right now in my sketchbook, um, and I just haven't put it on paper because it's gonna be real depressing and scary, and I'm like, do I even want to? It has to be at a time when that's something I want to release again, I have to wait for
Mm,
myself to be in that
yeah.
place. It's how some pieces are. Like I got like, it'll be like a painful painting and then like I'm feeling better now
So
and
it's like I'm not there right now, but I
right. And I'll
may
go
get
back.
back there. I may like understand. I may not even feel that way, but I can tap back into that if
Right.
anything.
Right. Or that it became or it can even create a balance where it's like
Hmm.
now I'm adding light to that darkness and now there's
Yeah.
a beautiful balance in the piece. But it just depends. Yeah, I gotta it's weird. Every piece is so different, like on the reasoning for why I'm painting
Yeah.
it or how fast I can get it done. Like some take a year or two to start and then finally figure out how I'm going to finish it. And some I can finish in a night or two. Like it just depends.
What's the
Um,
difference? Do you think it's mood, how you're feeling, or is it just?
it might be the
Okay.
concept of the piece and what I'm trying to express. Because there's like one series I do. It's Eye of the Beholder, and it is like an eye in the middle of this galaxy, and I've done like 6 of them, I think, all different colors,
Yeah.
and the clouds always look different. The eye always looks kind of different, but it's the same concept. And so, because I know what that concept is giving, I know what to do every time. So
Yeah.
those, when I feel the motivation to do another one, knock it out like that.
Okay.
But then some of the other ones, it's just like if it's more intricate of like an idea of more personal, especially, it takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
Like the goddess took a year
Oh
to
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
like and I redid parts of her, and I even now I want to go back and redo certain parts of her
Mm,
because I've gotten better at certain things, and I've
yeah.
enhanced on the iPad. And I'm like, do I just leave it? Like, do I make another one? I don't know.
How do you? Ooh, how do you know? How do you know you're done? Basically, when you're working on a piece and you look back like, oh, like I want to go back to that. How do you
Uh-huh.
know like enough is enough, or I'm gonna keep on touching this up?
It is so hard because it's never fully done. That's why
Yeah.
I envy other people who can look at my art because like y'all see what it is. I only see the things I could add a lot of
Mm,
times. Like I could still see like I'll look at her. I've done her 2 years ago, and I
yeah.
still want to. I
Add
could
things
add this.
to
Like
it.
I could darken it up here, and I might. Sometimes I do that. Like especially if someone buys an original piece. And that they're spending money with me like that, I will go in and retouch it. Maybe even add some darker shading areas, like just tweak it so it freshen it up a little bit. But as far as like knowing when, a lot of times I'll get to that point where if I'm sitting there and I don't really know what else to add, like to the point that it's like it's been sitting there like that for a while and I don't know what else
Mm,
to add. I'm afraid to mess it up. I feel like it's probably done then because if I'm having that feeling, that means I don't want to do too much
yeah.
because you can mess it up. You can
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
too far. Yeah.
Okay. I
I
think
just
let's end with this.
okay.
Uh, tell me one time where you did take it too far, and then tell me one you're just like you're proud of. One piece you're proud of.
Okay, so I'm really proud of all my pieces, but the Let It Go, it's a hand holding a heart.
Hmm.
It's just so big, and it was one of my first ever big piece. And the way that it glows, I couldn't even tell you even now how I did it. Like I don't even know how I look all the time. Like how the hell did I get it to do that? It's just simple design, but like the background, like I said, everything was just
Mm,
popping on it, and
everything hit just right. Right. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. And like men and women all just gravitate, especially men. They love that painting. I think it's
Hmm.
because it speaks to the emotional baggage that y'all carry and
Okay.
aren't
Yeah.
it's hard to release for y'all,
Hmm.
so it's like that bleeding heart. Like I feel that, man.
Yeah.
Like, and then other ones I've taken too far. I did have one canvas that ended up cracking. There was so many layers of paint on it.
Mm.
but I don't even like the image was like a tree, I think, by the end of it. But there was one time I tried to paint with this
Wait, sorry, real quick. Did you just keep on touching it up, or like why did it crack?
oh yeah, I kept repainting over it with new things. And the first painting that was on it wasn't mine. It was like some kind of pour. So it was like, I mean, the canvas was so thick with paint that eventually it just started cracking.
Oh, okay,
Like
yeah.
you can actually put too much
Mhm.
acrylics on a canvas, and over time it won't
Yeah,
stretch.
that makes sense, but I never even thought about that. That's why I had to
It
ask. So wait,
kind of
what?
added a cool effect, though. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, with the
Mhm.
tree and then cracks on the side, so it worked out.
Yeah.
But there was one time, and this is when I was kind of first starting, but I was trying to use a lava lamp for inspiration. It looked like a cobra's head, but that cobra head changed real fast, so I was trying to. And and next thing I know, there's like this cobra head coming out of a flower, and there's like a moon, but there's like this weird thing behind it. And I was like, "What is happening here?" I kept adding stuff, never finishing any part of it,
Mm.
and it got more and more confusing. And then I had to discard of it because I couldn't look at it anymore.
Oh.
I couldn't stand it.
It pains me.
I was like, "What is that?"
Oh, jeez. And with that, shout out your socials, and I'll tag them in the description.
Okay. Yeah, y'all follow me on it's Chanoah Louise. That's ChanoahLouise. That is my art page. Feel free to contact me with any questions if you're an artist and you want to know details on how I'm doing what I'm doing. If you are a customer who wants to buy an original or you want a commissioned custom piece as well, I can do that. Just DM me, let me know. My website's not up yet, but it will be soon.
All right, and with that, take care and live a life that without regret.
Love you.
Bye.